Okay, so there are a few things I want to address in the very beginning in regards to the Cleotrapa versus Ice Spice situation going on right now. So, for starters, when it comes to Ice Spice talking about how she had issue with, Cleotrapa comparing a tour bus to a slave ship, and I don't know if she was even like offended because of the history of it or whatever, but I mean, I don't think that it was a good analogy on Cleotrapa's part. So that is something that I will acknowledge. Another thing is in regards to everyone talking about the whole prayer that Ice Spice and Riot did with I think it's La Tyler, and she was on up devil horns. People were saying that she's possessed. So for me, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God and I don't believe in Satan. What that looked like to me personally, growing up in LA, it, I don't want to assume at all. So this is only an assumption, but especially for Riot, it looked like that they were on something. Absolutely, I'm talking drugs. I don't want to accuse them of doing drugs, but the way they were behaving looked exactly how I that's I've seen addict. I've been unfortunately I've been around addicts my whole life. So also I do want to say that ultimately Cleotrapa should have had some sort of hindsight, especially based on how Ice Spice has moved with people in the past. I'm not even talking about, Ice Spice and Nikki, because to be completely honest, in that scenario, I, defended Ice Spice. But for Cleotrapa, she should have known that when Ice Spice came to her with this opportunity last minute, that she should have said to herself, okay, if I am going to go on this trip last minute, I need to have my ducks in order and my shit together, because I can't trust the fact that she is going to have her shit together, let alone, helping me with my shit. Ultimately, either lied to Cleotrapa about her being good and that she didn't need anything and that she was going to be with her and she didn't need to bring any extra money. This is going to be like, you're going to perform. I'm not just wanting you to, stand in the back. Ice should have been way more clear. And Ice's management didn't handle this professionally, because the minute that they saw Cleo's little ass hop on that tour bus, the manager should have been like, hey, what are you doing here? Okay, do you have this and this and this covered? Oh, you're an artist? Okay, let me talk to your management. Because in this scenario, from what I understand, this tour manager is the boss, or Ice Spice's boss, and his employee, Ice Spice, brought on an extra person, which would end up affecting the budget. So Ice's management team should have made sure that Cleo was either covered prior to hopping on the tour bus, or explaining to Ice Spice, hey, an extra person isn't in the budget. So just letting you know, I'm not saying she can't come, but since you're bringing her on, you're going to need to cover her expenses. Are you okay with that? Because at least in the professional environments I've ever been in and the professional events I've been at, if somebody wants to bring, somebody else, you need to tell them, hey, bring your own money or be expected to pay out of your pocket. You invited the person. It very much seems like this is a bad case of girls in their early 20s move about, and it's a canon event. Cleo had to go through this in order to learn, and I'm glad that she spoke up about it. Hopefully now she will learn to move a bit wiser and keep her distance, at least emotionally, keep her distance when it comes to befriending any music artist, an actor, or a social media celebrity. So, when it comes to the Ice Spice versus Cleotrapa debate, I, even as a light skin exotical, and I'm talking about I'm Ice Spice's color. And even with that, hearing Cleotrapa's story and seeing the way Ice Spice has moved since her inception, I am completely on Cleotrapa's side. And let me explain why. First, with this Instagram story that I made. So, in my story, I wrote, I'm 100% on Cleotrapa's side in this. Personally, I've known biracial girls who move like Ice Spice. Like the kind of girls who were told by everyone in their life that they're pretty and could do no wrong growing up. I didn't grow up with pretty privilege like that. As a kid, daily, I had people reminding me I was ugly and weird, whether it be from classmates, random adults, and even family. I was often told that because I'm biracial, I should be prettier and that my hair should be less quote unquote nappy. When I got older and gained pretty privilege, I saw firsthand how people, mostly black men, would try to uplift me by bringing down dark skinned girls. It disgusted me because these were the same type of dudes to tell me back then, I ain't never seen an ugly biracial till I met you. Remembering how I was treated before my glow up has and will always stay in the back of my mind. I'm not saying that girls like Ice Spice need to be humbled, but she's constantly surrounded by people who only praise her, and it shows. Whenever she gets criticized, she always responds with, I'm prettier, I'm richer. I mean, of course, not literally, but y'all know. Because that has always worked for her. Just look at her upbringing and now her quote unquote rap career, if we can even call it that. I was homeschooled growing up, and I was primarily surrounded by mostly white people, even though most of my close friends would happen to most of the time be black, whether they were dark skin or light skin, or biracial, mixed with black, kind of thing. But when I first started going to public school, throughout high school and middle school and high school, I only went to schools that just so happened to be at least 90% white or more. And all throughout my time in middle school and high school, at least most of high school, I was made fun of by both like the white people as well as the black dudes trying to impress the white people. I was always told how ugly I was and how, they would compare me to another very light-skinned biracial girl who had looser curls or green eyes, and they would be like, "Oh, why don't you look like her? Aren't you supposed to be a good-looking mixed person, da da da?" Cuz contrary to popular belief, white people can see the difference between skin tones in black people. And I don't know if it's because I grew up around white people and white kids, but those white kids would pick on me, and then their black friends, because they would befriend the black dudes in order to get that, swag card. And they would all join in making fun of me, calling me nappy. They throw things in my hair. Basically what I'm trying to get at is that I noticed that, discovering the exoticals community, thanks to Exoticals United, who, has many takes I agree with and many takes that I don't agree with. But I noticed among at least the exoticals that have made pages talking about growing up being an exotical, that a lot of their experiences that they faced in their younger years, I can't relate. So I've had a glow up, and let me tell you, when I had my glow up, a lot of people were shocked by the fact that a lot of these dudes who would sit there and make fun of me being an ugly light skin and blah blah blah, those were the same dudes that went after I had my glow up started messaging me and coming up to me and being like, wow. But basically, I knew very quickly that, yeah, I may be a bad bitch now. And, even when I gained pretty privilege, it still took, I want to say, almost a decade for me to then translate that into developing my own self-confidence and being confident in my intelligence and my integrity and my beliefs. I don't know what experiences all of you had growing up, whether you're light skin or dark skin. But one thing that I can say, looking at this from a perspective as objective as I can look at it, there is such a thing as light skin privilege, just like there is pretty privilege. That's not me saying that, if you're not light skinned, then you need to take part in like the oppression Olympics. Like, it's just basically me saying that the hardships that I am more likely to face in life are going to be hardships that may not necessarily revolve around me being light skinned. For example, I'm neurodivergent as fuck. I'm a material science engineer. I'm the only woman in, my department. And even though I grew up with a black father, I grew up with more of a white American culture than a black American culture. I can still talk about the issues I faced growing up, and even like, hey, I've had issues with jealousy from dark-skinned girls, just like I have from light-skinned girls who were lighter than me, white women, Asian women, Hispanic women. I mean, men. Fuck, if anything, men have been the most jealous of me, but we'll talk about that for another time. And you're probably wondering, Nodi, why the fuck did you go on this long-ass rant about being, a light-skinned exotical and understanding you're just pandering to the dark-skinned women? You're just pandering. Like, no. I'm not looking at this from a simply an emotional perspective. Like, this is all 100% my opinion, but my opinion is based on real life situations that I have seen in front of me. Like, even the fact that I would have black boys coming up to me saying that I was ugly for a biracial. They would also say to the dark-skinned black girls, you're pretty for a dark-skinned black girl. I'm going to hope that most of you have already watched the I think it's a 6-part series that Cleotrapa put on to her TikTok. And I'm going to say this right now. Do not comment about the Cleotrapa Ice Spice situation unless you've watched her videos. With that out the way, I want to show, if y'all remember, Winter Blanco, the #1 bully from, what was it? Was it Bad Girls 13? I don't know. She's another half black, half white exotical who is very, very light skinned. We're basically a similar color. You can see here. And Winter, I don't know where she's from. I grew up in Los Angeles. I think she's also from LA, if I'm not mistaken. But Winter and Ice Spice, those, the mentality that I see coming out from each of them, you should be grateful in my presence. I gotta look out for me. The biracial girls that I had issues with growing up, acted exactly like Winter, acted exactly like Ice Spice. The girls who were the meanest to me were similar to my phenotype. I don't know, I guess they just wanted to feel pretty. I don't fucking know. And also, unfortunately, I was an easy target back in the day. I wasn't nearly as confident with voicing my opinion or cussing bitches out like I am now. That is also a reason, which, if you're someone who thinks someone deserves to get picked on because they don't speak up, I'm going to need you to reevaluate your beliefs. Let's get into Winter's video.
I know the back was aching. So anyways. So pretty. That's a beautiful back. So obviously I've been getting tagged in all of the Ice and Cleo stuff. So of course I'm going to speak on it because them bitches spoke on me. And I'm going to always speak on people who speak on me, no matter what. I know. People be in the comments like, Winter always talking about something. I'm going to always talk about people who talk about me, aren't you? This is a sewing. I just think it's so funny. I think karma is crazy. Karma is so crazy. And also I'm just like, going to the internet after a friend breakup is lame as hell. Like, just period. Lame as hell.
Basically, Winter Blanco got, along with her BBL, she got botched veneers, and she was crying about it. And even though I don't like her, I, immediately sympathized and even empathized with her. I never had any issues as severe as her veneer issue, but I've had issues with dentists, and in particular one who made my tooth so much worse I almost completely lost it. So I will say that I don't have a problem with Winter cussing out Cleotrapa. Basically, Cleotrapa replied to Winter's severe pain from her veneers, quote tweeted and said, "Cleotrapa voodoo." I feel like she needs a different type of karma, so I don't mind Winter, bringing that up. I do also agree with her that when friends like break up and you go to social media, that's why, even though I do like Baby Storme, I didn't agree with her outing Ice Spice, essentially revealing the text. I didn't have a problem with her talking about her experience, how Ice used to bully her, and then she became friends because, I don't know, maybe Stockholm syndrome or something. But I felt like the text exchange between them when Baby Storme went to the internet to reveal those, I didn't agree with it. I still don't agree with it. It seemed like Ice was just kind of ranting. But what happened with Cleotrapa, that wasn't just a friend breakup. Even though it wasn't online, Ice Spice publicly mistreated her. Everyone on that tour knew it because they all took part in it too. For me, in my opinion, if you're sitting there forming a clique against me, I think it's completely reasonable for Cleotrapa to publicly discuss this. I see some people starting to side-eye how people conduct tours.
People will just try to throw out words these days to try to make you, cancelable. Be like, you're my friend and you called me big. Girl, if you hear half of the things that me and my friends say to each other, you could joke around about stuff. I've had friends sit up there and tap me on the shoulder and say, I'm just letting you know you're getting a little big. Does that mean that they're fat phobic? No. It means they're trying to look out. Okay? Maybe you are getting a little big. Or maybe they're joking around. I'm just saying.
What the fuck is wrong with you? You fucking LA bitches. I swear to God, Winter is a prime example, because they would be doing shit like that, being like, oh, I'm joking, or oh, I'm just giving you constructive criticism. They'd call me bug eyes. They'd say that my skin looked like it was fucking cracking and forming craters and shit. They make fun of how, oh, your butt looks like, it's big, but it's kind of dimply. I'm just saying, I'm just being real, I'm just blunt. If this is if that's your idea of giving constructive criticism to someone you care about, how are you towards people you don't like? Actually, you know what? Winter has shown that time and time again. Like, even if you agree with Winter's point, Winter is a bully. She's a bully to women, like white women, black women, biracials. Since she was on Bad Girls Club, and she got her ass whooped by Persuasion.
And then like, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people tagged me in the Cleo video, and it's just so like, I didn't watch them all because it just sounded so ridiculous to me. Like, ugh. Like, you on the internet because you had to carry your own bag. You had to carry your own bag, girl. This girl's tour, and you mad because you had to carry your own bag. Like, the entitlement is crazy.
Prior to Cleo even stepping foot on that tour bus, Ice Spice reiterated to her over and over again, hey, you're good. I got you. My father worked in the music industry in LA. Nothing big. He was a sound engineer. But from what I understand, if there is a limit to the budget for the tour, whoever is bringing on a person, whether it's like a family member or a friend, it may not be part of the budget, but it's going to come out of the pocket of the person who invited them. And in this case, even if Cleo wasn't Ice Spice's friend, I mean, shit, like, I know I don't work in the music industry, work in the STEM industry, but if I bring my friend to a work trip and I tell her, hey, you're good, don't worry about it, I am responsible for them. I make sure they're good. Cleo is not wrong or ungrateful for expecting fair treatment. This fucking like dog eat dog culture, hyper capitalist individuality, it's really got y'all brainwashed. Like, at the end of the day, you have to treat human beings with decent amount of respect. And the way you can even start doing that is by doing, hey, would I want someone to do this to me? I understand, oh, it's business. Cleo should have known. Cleo should have known. She definitely should have known. But she fucking didn't. For me, I would have been out when Ice Spice and her team, getting food at the steakhouse, and they purposely iced out Cleo and her makeup artist, and they were starving. For y'all to sit there and look at that and think like, oh, ungrateful, like that, Cleo was literally asking for the bare minimum. Like, I don't give a fuck what you personally think or feel about light-skinned girls versus dark-skinned girls, the rap industry, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, we got to go down to basic human needs and how to respect those needs, especially for someone you invited. I know a lot of y'all were saying, oh, well, Ice isn't responsible for Cleo. She is. And if she didn't want to be responsible for Cleo, she should have told Cleo to get her own shit prior. It's like, I wish y'all would stop being purposely obtuse and calling it rational thinking, because like I said, just for one fucking second, put the light skin, dark skin a fucking side. Put the biracial, monoracial aside. You don't treat people the way Ice treated Cleo. Brushing it all aside and saying like, oh, well, it's business. Yeah, it's fucking business. Would you do this to your coworker? No. The company would be holding you responsible for inviting them and then not wanting to cover them. You wouldn't get away with being like this to anyone else. I mean, okay, yeah, there are, to corporate culture, there's a lot of this shit going on. But that's bad. We all know that to be bad. Just because something like this is how the music industry is, why are we just accepting that? Why are we just accepting mistreatment, discrimination under the guise of like, oh, well, that's business, that's the industry. The fuck? So, the next thing I want to discuss is the discourse I'm seeing among the exoticals when it comes to the Ice Spice and Cleotrapa situation.
I understand the type of dynamic that she has experienced with Ice Spice. I've lived this. And it's so crazy because I've gone through these exact things with people. And I've had people in my life tell me, oh, if you don't have friends, you're the problem. If you always fall out with people, that's a red flag. And it's like, no, I fall out with narcissists. I fall out with female narcissists. I fall out with people like Ice Spice who use people for their own benefit, and then when they clock it and they catch on, now it's like all the gloves are off. You want to show your ass. Now you want to be passive aggressive with me and silently bully me. No. So I fall out with people like that. I don't fall out with people. I fall out with demons. Okay, so let's make that very clear. So I want to unpack why female narcissists are very performative with their kindness and use what's going on with Ice Spice and Cleo as an example. So I've experienced this many times in my life where I've had a friend who used me for my image, who's used me for the benefits, who's used me for their benefit, and have come off as really nice people, have come off like they're trying to help me, like they're doing me a favor, like they're being nice to me, when in reality it was just for outward appearance. It was just for a show. It was to make the outside world and people around them seem like I'm their friend and that they're so kind and genuine and nice to me. But what I realized is a lot of female narcissists weaponize their kindness to get what they want from you. When they realize that their kindness isn't getting them what they want from you, then that's when the gloves come off. That's when you could see a completely different person. And I know this to be a fact because a lot of female narcissists will do things for you with ulterior motives. So you'll have a friend who will invite you out, but it's really just because the other three friends that they would prefer to go out with didn't answer the phone or are sick or can't make it. So you're the final choice. And they know that they don't really like you for real. They know that you're the backup option. They know you're the last option, but they're going to choose you to come out because they need someone on their arm. They need someone to make them look good. They need someone to make them feel good. And they know you, the genuine friend, is going to give them the supply and the ego boost that they're looking for. And so they invite you out. They make it seem like they really care about you and really love you. They post you on their social media and you're having a blast. Whole time they're just weaponizing their kindness because they needed somebody to come out with them. And you were the last option. And that's just one example. Then you may have a friend who will do a favor for you. So maybe they'll lend you some money or they'll help you get a job somewhere or something. And then they'll turn around and sabotage the job. They'll turn around and try to tarnish your name in the workplace when they're the ones that helped you get in there. So they're weaponizing their kindness in the sense that, yes, sis, yeah, I'll help you.
And I have seen some light skin exoticals talk about how the dark skin exoticals are empathizing with Cleotrapa based off their experiences. And you've seen light skin exoticals who haven't gone through those same experiences, who are kind of like saying that they're speaking from a place of emotion, like basically calling it projection.
So in my last video, I basically broke down that when it comes to the Baby Storming and Cleopatra, the real beef. Now I'm not saying that Ice wasn't being weird. We're gonna get into that later. But the real beef, the real trigger was that they couldn't social climb off her the way she social climbed off them, and all of their arguments with her had to do with social climbing. It really had nothing to do with like you hurt my feelings, or you said that joke, or you told this information I didn't want you to tell anyone and I only told you that in private. It had nothing to do with anything in regards to friendship or feelings, and everything to do with them not getting treatment that they felt like they deserved via her star status. And I think that a lot of people, when it comes to like the Nara and Ice Spice situation, they have so much sympathy for dark skinned women that they're projecting stuff on a situation that has nothing to do with it anyway. Like people were saying, "Oh, this happened to me. I had a fake friend." Da 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 da. Which I'm not saying you didn't, and you deserve to feel how you do about that. But they're projecting that stuff onto the situation when it's not what's happening.
All I'll say is we don't know 100% for sure if Ice Spice is a colorist and did this to Cleotrapa because she's a colorist. But I think the point that some people are trying to get at is that Ice Spice felt like she could do this to Cleotrapa because of how people pedestalize a light-skinned biracial over a dark-skinned monoracial. And her management team has already kind of proved that they allowed that, which once again, you have dark skin versus light skin thanks to a bunch of fucking industry dudes who are always the source of the light skin versus dark skin argument when it comes to other black girls, other biracial girls, what have you. So I'm going to move on to my last point in this. Long before I even knew Ice Spice existed, I knew who Cleotrapa was. I'm not even from New York. And when I first saw Ice Spice, I immediately was like, oh, okay. Been a while since we had a female meme rapper. I guess she's it. But then I saw footage of them hanging out and I was like, oh, Cleo's cool with Ice? Well, I mean, I don't like Ice's music, but if Cleo's cool with Ice, then I guess she must be cool because, Cleotrapa just so happens to be friends with rappers I very much respect because I don't listen to rap purely for the aesthetic. You have to be versatile in your interest and how you see the world and what you think and show that in your music, which is why I can't and never will vibe with Ice Spice's music because it doesn't have that. But I was like, you know what? I don't like Ice's music, but I'm gonna support her. Like, I remember when there was this meme going around on Twitter that had, I think it had like Biggie. It was like a four square, and it was like Biggie, Jay-Z, 50 Cent, and Ice Spice, and they said something like, you can only pick one. 3 of them gotta go. And everybody was making fun of Ice Spice. And I was like, shit, I typed out Ice Spice better than all of them. So I was like, okay, she must be cool if Cleo is her friend. Now, I thought this was the friend that she had in childhood. We all just found out that Cleo and Ice were like literally industry friends. And I will say that they both benefited from the industry friendship they had in the beginning. I feel like Cleo should have definitely cut it off far sooner and just been an acquaintance. Music wise, I think Cleo made a mistake in associating herself with Ice Spice music wise and shouting out her music, not because she shouldn't be allowed to shout out her friend, and I know this is my opinion, but I'm trying to look at this from as objective as I can. Ice Spice she's not a good rapper. She doesn't make good music, and she doesn't even know what her own aesthetic and interest are. I mean, Cleo took a hit shouting out Ice's music, and she did that for a friend. And I know people are like, oh, well, Ice Spice shouldn't have had to shout out Cleotrapa's music. And yeah, I agree. Cleo, should be responsible for her own career. You can't, just because you shout out a friend doesn't mean you can expect that friend to do the same. I'm not going to pretend as if Cleo's influence, from what I understand in the female rap New York scene, Cleo has influence. See, I listen to a lot of female raps from all over the place. So that's why I knew who Cleotrapa was. And for a lot of us who did first discover Ice Spice, I know a lot of you discovered her through Munch, but I personally found out about her through Cleo. So let us not act as if Cleo hasn't been an integral part of Ice Spice's come up. Not, full career, but her come up. That's it for my final thoughts. I don't know how to end this video. Let's all make sure that the manosphere doesn't hop into this argument because they always gotta make some shit about them. So yeah, be kind to each other and Bye.